Good afternoon, First Baptist Church. Welcome to the Monday blog. We're in 1 Samuel, and we're going to start in chapter 2, and we're going to see this prayer by Hannah. And what is so cool about this prayer by Hannah is that it's one of the first recorded poems that we see by an Israelite in the Bible, and it's also a female. And what she's doing is showing her character as she's humbly exalting the Lord. Now, it's from all her heart. It's not that beating organ inside of you. It's her entire essence is exalting the Lord. She's giving everything to him. And when that happens, he will exalt us back. He will place us over our enemies, not because we're special, but because he is special. It says that my mouth derides my enemies or condemns my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. We're going to see in just a little bit who she's talking about here. But she goes on to exalt the Lord. There is none holy like the Lord. She is acknowledging his holiness. There is none beside you. He is the only God. There is no rock. He is solid. He is there. And when we put our faith in him, he will not leave us nor forsake us. He is always there. And then she starts to talk about Peninnah. Talk no more so very proudly. Right? Which seems like a mic drop moment, but she's not boasting in herself. She's boasting in what God has done. She says, let not arrogance come from your mouth, which is good advice to Peninnah. For the Lord is the God of knowledge. The Lord knows what's happening. You might think you do, but you don't, because he is the one that weighs our actions. And it doesn't matter who you are, right? It says the bows of the mighty are broken. These are mighty warriors, right? They are broken in comparison to God. And in the feeble, they bind on to strength. I would much rather be the weakest person in the world and have God on my side, because then I have this infinite God that is with me, than be the most powerful person in the world and not have God, because I am nothing in comparison to this infinite God. She goes on to talk about those that are full, those that have enough to eat. But yet, in turn, we can have everything. And the next moment, we can have nothing as we're hiring ourselves out for bread. But yet, we can be the hungry, we can be the poor. And in the next moment, because we have God, we can never cease to even hunger. Right? God is the one that's in control. God is the one that we should be leaning in. It doesn't matter how poor we are on this earth. We are exalted in heaven. We have everything because of him, and we can handle it. We can focus on what the future has to come because of who God is. She goes on to talk about her barrenness and even another play on words towards Peninnah. It says the barren has borne seven. Now, this doesn't mean that she has seven kids. It could, but it doesn't mean that. It means that the one child she has, this seven, is a number of completeness. She's complete. But yet Peninnah, who has many children, is not. She's forlorn. She has nothing. She is not complete. She is lost without God, because God is the one who controls everything, kills, and he brings to life. He brings down to Sheol and he raises up. He's in control of everything. He makes the poor and he makes the rich. He brings low and he exalts. Do you trust him? Right? God is in control. So even if you're poor right now, understand that he will be with you. He raises up the poor from the dust, right? We see that. He lifts the needy from the ash heap, and then he makes them sit with princes in seats of honor. And so, what were we before God, before Christ came into our life? We were dead. We were nothing. We were poor. We were needy. But yet, after him, he calls us sons and daughters. We are part of his kingdom. We are heirs of his kingdom. We are princes. And we have a seat of honor. I mean, how cool is that? And we know this is true because we see, for the pillars of the Lord, pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and for them he set the world. God created the world. So if he created the world, do not you think that he could lift up the people that are in it and tear down the others that are not, that are in this world? He's the one that goes and lifts us up. He's the one that sets us apart. We need to trust him, because when we trust him, right, he will guard the feet of his faithful one, and he will cut down those that are in darkness, those that are away from his presence. And we might think that we have control in this world, right? It might say that man can prevail, but that's not true, because we are nothing in comparison to God. He is the one that provides the strength. And if we trust in our own understanding, we will fail. We go on, the adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Nobody can stand up against the Lord. Against them, he will thunder in heaven. I mean, imagine the sound of this thunder. And that's what God is carrying out on those that have gone against God's people and gone against him. And then my favorite part comes. It says, the Lord will judge to the ends of the earth. He will carry it out. But what's so important is this next part. He will give strength to his king and to the horn to his anointed. This word anointed is actually Messiah. And even though there's no king here, she's looking forward to when Samuel anoints a king, especially this King David, right? How important is this King David? But I believe that it points forward to something greater. I believe it's pointing forward to the King, to the anointed, to the Messiah, Jesus, right? How cool is that? And then subtly it just says, then Elkanah went home to Ramah. He took Hannah with him. The boy was ministering to the Lord in the presence of Eli the priest. This small boy, because the Lord was with him, was able to minister for the Lord. He was this stark contrast to who Eli and his sons were. Eli and his sons were doing things their own way. They were trying to prevail like man would prevail. They couldn't hear of God like Samuel does. And Samuel listens and he brings about this anointed David, who in turn would soon be this lineage of Jesus that would be carried out over around 1,000 years later. So thank you for tuning in and looking at this book of Samuel as we see it compared to who Jesus is. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a good day.